Hi, Tony from all the remote things here again today. And I've got the wonderful April Jefferson with us. How are you today?
I'm quite wonderful.
That's brilliant. Look, as usual, April, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow. I I guess I was like, man, I'm not a polyglot. I don't speak multiple languages, but I'm in multiple communities, and I was trying to uncover what's the right word for that. And someone's like, oh, Renaissance. So I guess I'm a Renaissance person, and which makes sense because I went to Renaissance High School when I was younger. So I play in multiple spaces. I say I'm a sponge. There's a lot of beautiful ideas out there, and I believe that we have multiple communities that are working toward the same thing. There's like this box of alignment that's quite beautiful, and seeing where those things merge and play, and how we can work together to move toward a brighter future for everyone. And I
That's
love that
that's a
space.
that's a great intro. I love that. They call you the soul craftswoman. So, from my point of view, I want to ask you where that came from.
Well, um, eh, I've learned that it's important to name yourself. And that's from one of the Kwanzaa principles. And when I was working toward understanding who am I as a leader and uncovering that, oh, I am a leader, right? Is that what represents me? How do I want to add value to the world? How do I walk in my gifts? And I understood that um, I like to harmonize mindsets, as I kind of articulated in that introduction, and be in a space to help unlock people's potential. And what kind of embodied that was that moniker, Soul Craftswoman. So that's what I named myself. So, and it is for me is what I aspire to continually do every day. Um, and not saying that I'm the perfect person, but it's aspirational.
No, that's yeah, something we could all aspire to. So, you talked about communities there. So I know you said you're a serial community creator, yeah. So I know that you're on a couple of them. So you've got Women in Agile, I think open, and we talked about that. This Future of Work community. There's the London uh, Women
No,
Agile.
Future Work is a global community. I have Future Work 24 hours. And how that community initiated was when I was in an open space and with my co-founder, and I met her, and we were like, oh, she's like, I've been meaning to meet you. I was told that we should meet, and we talked. It was about a 3-minute conversation, and I said, hey, you know what, I was thinking that wouldn't it be great if we kind of did this, talked about the future of work for 24 hours. I think it'd be a great to do with open space. She said, I like that idea too. And I was like, want to do it with me? He said, yes, 3 minutes. And then we like a few months later, that was the first future of work 24 hours open space, and it was amazing. And we have another one coming up here again in May. It would be our third year doing this.
Oh,
And
very
the first year, after only a few months, we've had, I think over 250 people attend, and then it
wow.
doubled the second year from all over the world. It's an all volunteer community. When we first did this, we were like, hey, we're doing an event because this is special. We want to come together and talk about, you know, um, bringing things to action, and we were talking about, ethical disruption, and it was really exciting. But what we uncovered is that, and what I've learned throughout this is when you do events, community naturally forms
Yeah.
because people would like to still gather. And that's the question I always get is someone who's constantly organizing spaces and gatherings is that people would like to continue. And when it's really good, a community develops, and
Yeah.
that's beautiful. So that's why I say that we're more than an event, we're a community. And what's beautiful about the Future of Work 24 hours community is that we're a community of communities, and that's by intention. because we said there's a lot of people aspiring toward the future of work. Let's bring them together to have the conversation. That was the vision, where it's not just the agile space or the product space or the open space community or people in genuine contact, liberating structures, people in the product space, people in human systems dynamic, and so on and so forth. It's like we're all looking at the same thing, whether you're a holacracy or something else or sociocracy. Let's try to have conversations together. So we invited all these communities. It's a gathering of multiple communities. And what I was told is like, this is so unique. It hasn't happened. We don't talk to one another. I'm like, why not? Why not? There's so much beauty in that. And and that's what I enjoy is that seeing that blend, that mindset,
Yeah, I can
that
understand.
coming together and we may have different language for some of the same things and that, and but you can get over that and start having those conversations when people kind of speak, you know, their geek and just saying, how do we like take away that language and just talk to one another as humans and magic happens.
That's brilliant. That's so. You said it's May. How do people get involved? Because there'll be people watching this go, "That sounds fantastic." How
Yeah.
do they get involved, April?
So you can always message me, but it's a future of work 24 hours. Um, Google it. You'll see that that space. I think I don't know if I remember the URL correctly, but I think it's we're using that space, I believe. Future of Work 24 hours. We are convening in May for this annual gathering. Our volunteer community. We're working. If you would like to engage and get involved, there's still opportunities to volunteer. It's that we'll find a spot for you and how you can contribute. What we love about this volunteer community is that we created a space so it's not the same people in the same roles. You don't even need to know how to do the thing. I love to see people like, what do you want to learn?
Yeah, yeah.
And step into that space. I think people like, oh, like cool. I would love to learn marketing. I haven't done that, and be able to do it and just walk in it fully. Or I want to learn like sponsorship to have people come in and do that, or hey, facilitate pairing people with veteran facilitators, pairing them with someone that's younger who want to learn the craft. So there's tons of different spaces. Right now, we definitely could use a few more graphic recorders. Definitely more people to market the space, share out. I would say to your community. And what's beautiful about this is that this is a 24-hour conference, and a lot of the things I want to do is I believe in equitable access, and that's a core tenet of this open space. So we have a suggested ticket price, but people can just donate whatever they have, and that donation is $0. That's okay, because as we say, we understand that $20 is different everywhere. 20
Yes.
US dollars is not um, is a high price tag in other parts of the world. So no one knows how much you paid to get in. You're welcome. And we appreciate and it all evens out. Some people that we're able to cover costs for the space, the platform, the experience in the end. We have people sponsoring, we have other people donating. So it all works out. Don't ever let finances inhibit you from learning and growing.
That's really a great motto that you've got there. And what I would say is to the remote agility framework community, please get on board. I know I'll be attending, so I'm hoping that our community will get behind that and join with your community. We're all thinking in the remote space, and I know in that future
Yes.
there's a lot around that remote space and a lot of conversation. And if you just a little side thing there, if you're watching all the remote things, there is another clip that's running around with April in it as well, where we discuss a lot more in depth about the future of work with the Agile Alliance. So have a look at that one on the Agile Alliance that's out there at the moment, which was on a panel. That's how we got to know each other. We selected her for the panel. Purely around that future of work, by the way. That's what caught our attention. So
Yeah.
having said that, you also do more than just the future of work, right? I talked about the other communities. So you're very passionate about women in Agile. Talk to me a little bit about that community and your thoughts around that.
So it's interesting, and I know many women, this is their experience. And initially, it took a moment for me to go to my first event for just women. And then I'm like, oh, okay, someone dragged me here. I don't need this type of thing. And I went, I was like, wow, I've been missing out on a lot. It was something very important and special about that, how we can support one another and grow. And and I saw other not but every event for women is not the same, but I wanted to gift women with the beauty of open space, with what I've gotten from that. And that's how that started. And I invited a couple other ladies to help to co-found another just idea, and they said yes. People,
Yes.
I can, as someone say, be careful. Like when you talk to me, you end up saying yes to something, and being a part of something, and and we created this beautiful generative space. And what I found that was so unique and special there was the absence of ego. It
Yeah.
just went away, and how we supported and learned. And I saw there was more like coming together in joint sessions, collaborate. Let's explore this topic, and let's host this session together, and all these different things. And how people literally, spoke life into them. People are able to kind of see, what makes them so unique that maybe they weren't seeing, that they were able to tap in, or people who switch careers from that. And I just find it it's amazing what can happen. It's like an open space. They say prepare to be surprised. And we were surprised. We had no idea. We walked away and just saying, wow, wow, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, all the kind of conversations, whether they're about all sorts of things. It could be technical, it could be, about career, about practices, all sorts of different things. People explored an array of topics. And our theme for our first year was unlocking potential together. And that's what really happened. And we I do a lot for anything, any type of gathering, remote or online. I believe in theming and really thinking about. I use design thinking, another like community that I invest in. And the practice that I bring to all things is really taking the time to think about um, the needs, and when people walk away, what are they thinking, feeling, saying, doing, hearing? And I find more often than not when you do, and then ask yourself, now, what do I need to do to make that happen? It happens. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, and look, I have to say the reason I wanted to hone in a little bit on the women in agile things. Obviously, I've been in the agile community like yourself for a very long time. We won't go there. The fact the absence of hair tells you how long. I'm the father of a daughter, and for me, I want my daughter to be able to do or enter or be part of any community or anything she chooses. And if she enters tech, and over the years, I've seen her, it's growing and it's getting better, but there's so much more work to do. When I first started working in this environment, there were very, very few females, right? But there are some absolutely brilliant ladies, and that I've worked with over the years, and I think that you know the opportunity has to be there. We have to have those opportunities early, so that the doors are open and they're not afraid to enter those doors, and communities like the one you're
Yeah,
talking about is starting that conversation.
yeah. I would say that the Women in Agile community as a whole, the greater Women in Agile community, is very supportive. There's opportunities for mentorship. It's people new in the space. There's so much support there, and how we help one another. Um, there and create spaces for opportunity and learning that is beautiful. And
I would say though, men in agile, don't just leave it to the women in agile, right? To do the support to open the doors, because that's part of the job for us as well. And think about it: if you're a father or you're a parent of a daughter, you want that for them. So
mhm.
I'll get off my soapbox now, but
Yeah, there's a lot of gentlemen who are doing some awesome things and supporting people, everyone, and taking that call. And and I would say that that's a part of it. Do it because you want to, right? Not because you're forced to, because the results are different,
they are.
right?
Exactly right.
So I would say that what's beautiful about open space, people come in all walks of life. They may not even be in tech. You know, I remember our first Women in Agile Open. When they came, that was their first time they heard the word agile and what the heck it meant.
Yeah,
Um, and that's okay in learning. I've seen in open space so many people show up from different communities and check it out, and that's a special place because everyone can let use a little bit of agility in their life, right?
absolutely. And you can apply that to these situations. You're spot on. Hey, look, I
Yeah.
want to dig a little bit deeper into some of the other things that you do. So you work with the Agile Alliance, and you're their global member engagement ambassador. And I'll line up. I'm looking at it on the other screen to make sure I got the right title. Talk to us a little bit about what that means. What are you doing with that?
Yeah, also naming myself and saying like this is how I want to show up. As the Agile Alliance is a global community, and they're like, April, you really want to do that? I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. I love building community, and one of the things that I did to bring on is to create a space where we have regular member events as a alliance. The Agile Alliance is a member organization, and we do amazing things in the community. It's a nonprofit, and the Agile Alliance, they do a lot of work that is kind of like behind the scenes. Like they support a lot of meetups, they support a lot of conferences and other different things that in the Agile greater Agile community to help make happen. And I would say that if you're a member of the Agile Alliance, you're doing that. So you can be like, oh yeah, I helped make that happen. I did that, right? You're a part of it. And that's what it is. And what I love about what they've done is they changed membership so it's accessible by everyone. You don't have to have your company pay for it. You can pay for it because it's only $49. Um, and and I'm creating member events that we find that people love often. One is applied learning experiences. I like the first Wednesday of every month. I do a game meetup for members where I take. I love the hack games. Maybe it's some games that we did in person to say, well, how can we do that online?
Yeah.
I feel like I can hack it, anything. And some people are like, how did you hack that? The first thing is believing you can do it. And then people walking away like, wow, that felt like we did it in person. Like you, Tony, I don't know, maybe you played like the Marshmallow Challenge or something like that before.
Yeah,
Um,
I think all good Agilists have played the marshmallow game.
and last month, I hacked that.
Wow.
I
That's
created a remote version of it, and
oh,
it was stinking fun.
yeah, I'd love to.
Pardon my words.
I'd love to hear
And
more.
so, like I love doing things in remote, and people sometimes when I say like, oh yeah, remote is awesome, remote is good. We can do a lot of amazing things. Don't feel limited. Think about how might we do something. And one of the things I love to do as well is do things without using like a collaboration tool where you don't have to use a mural board or mural or Jamboard or whatever type of tool that you're using to saying like we can do interactive learning. It's the same without using a tool as
That's
well.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And that's
all
bringing that's
and be
bringing
online and people in different countries and all over the world, and we can still do those things. So
and that's the power of remote, right? So,
yes.
that's why generally, all right, we all know that why we ended up as using remote as much as we have, but it's not going away. People have suddenly discovered that, if I look at my last 2 years, I've connected with people like yourself and people across the world that I probably would never have had the opportunity to meet, and it's
And
been
some people forgot that we were doing this stuff before COVID.
yeah, that's
Like
right.
I've been working remote. I've worked in remote teams before COVID. I've done different things at scaled. And when you say, distributed, what kind of distributed? I've done things, where I've done interactive learning experiences where hey, maybe we have a group of people in London, a group of people in Stuttgart, a group in Chennai, another one in Dearborn, and somebody else in Kentucky, and we've all done these exercises together and run this global interactive experience um, that there's different kinds of different things. Like we've been doing this stuff for a while.
That is
Um,
that is so
and
true.
what's great is that the technology has improved,
Yeah.
to the man, so it's less hiccups, right?
And what we need to
and
do is bring the organisations and bring the way that they're thinking about it, so that they're actually designing that a real context to work in that way, rather than just trying to do what they've done in
yeah,
physical in the remote world, because that doesn't tend to work. And a little birdie tells me, I think if I'm not wrong, that you and Mark Kilby might be collaborating on a book around distributed. Would I be right?
well, we're collaborating on a book around open space,
There
but
we are.
but Marka always says that April, you need to write this stuff down because the way that I think about different things, and I'm like, I'm never afraid to scale anything or doing different things online, and just like, oh, that's simple. We can solve it here. When I was a kid, there used to be this saying. I don't remember where it's from. Like, there's a will, there's a way. Do you remember that saying?
I remember that saying, yes.
I don't remember where it's from, but I'll probably have to Google it after this conversation.
Yeah. That's yes. Shout out to our good friend Mark. He's one of our remote guides, by the way. So yeah, and he's a brilliant gentleman. So I'm really waiting to see what you two come up with. That'll be fantastic. The other one I just wanted to, because we're getting close to the end of our time, but the other one I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, which is the mentoring of youth. And I know that you do quite a bit about that, and you're very passionate about that, and it's something that I really like to hear. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my mentoring of youth has been just from seeing a need, seeing people caring, right? Being curious to say, hey, do you need help? And end up connecting with them. And I kind of hold like a coaching stance. And what I find with youth is that a lot of times they haven't given the space to reflect, right?
Yes.
For themselves and know things for themselves. Um, where I've had every youth that I mentor say, "Oh, my brain hurts. You're asking me questions. I've never thought about that."
Yeah. They look at it from different perspectives, right?
Yeah, and taking like a bit to come back, some weeks to like and having responses and to think for themselves and have these opinions for themselves to move forward and move out of what they're dealing with and finding ways to be able to learn how to coach themselves into to positive ways to move forward.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I, and
it's
I think that's a very admirable thing, because there are a lot of youth out there that you know are looking for that direction, not quite sure how to get there. Let's face it, it's a different world to when we grew up, and a lot of the jobs that are around, and the way we interact and the things that it's changing so rapidly, so quickly. And if you think we're having trouble adapting to it, they're growing up in it. So I think you hit the nail on the head, that space to reflect and understand where their place in the world is really one of the most paramount things at the moment, if you look at what's going on.
Yeah, they deal with a lot of stuff, and I never think to say because like, oh, because we think our problems are bigger. than someone who's younger than us. You have no idea.
Right.
Everyone, they've probably could have lived more than you have and had more experiences. You don't know their story. So take a moment to listen.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because they may not be paying bills doesn't mean that they don't have a story.
No, it's so true. I agree with you completely. April, look, it's really the end of our time, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been wonderful. How can people get in touch with? Because you did say before they could touch base with you. How can people get in touch with you if they want to touch base about anything we've chatted about today?
Well, you can find me at Soul Craftswoman on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I'm April Jefferson, and you can see that kind of have Soul Craftswoman, or you can email me too at april@soulcraftswoman.com.
Fantastic. And I can tell you from experience that April will answer you and get back to you. Otherwise, she wouldn't be here today, right? So it's been fantastic to have you on all the remote things. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Tony. I'll come back anytime.
Oh, that's wonderful. Hey, look, if you're listening to this, don't forget, if it sounded good to you, like, subscribe, amplify, and stick with us on all the remote things for all things remote. Thanks for listening today.